Isabel is our speaker today. She is a full-time travel blogger and SEO expert. So we're really excited to hear what she's got to say after I think she told me 7 years full-time doing this. She's got a lot to teach us about that world. So this is how to score features in big name publications. Take it away, Isabel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi everyone. You seeing my screen okay? Okay, awesome. Yeah, really excited for everyone to be here. I'm curious to hear, like, if you guys are blogging, how long have you been blogging? Or do you guys create content at all? Less than 6 months, cool. Wow, 5 years, very nice. Awesome, okay, I'm gonna head on forward. So today's session is really going to be jam-packed with a lot of useful information. I would encourage everyone to have a pen and paper on hand or like virtually and take notes or any ideas that you come up with at any point during this session. Close your other tabs, eliminate any other distractions. If you stick right till the end, I have a special freebie for you. I will be giving away a full list of podcasts that I've spoken at as a guest speaker and the individual host emails for you to personally reach out to. And if you have any questions, we will have some time at the end for a Q&A, so feel free to ask them at any point during the presentation. So I'm really curious to hear, why are you here? Why do you want to score features on big name publications? What brings you here today? Career change, money, money, money. I like that, everyone's goal. So maybe, okay, let's have a poll. Is it because you want to grow your authority in your niche? If so, type in A. Do you want to reach a new audience? Type in B if that's the case. Or simply put, do you want to boost your traffic by getting mentions in bigger publications or even have an SEO boost? Type in C. I would love to hear responses. Personal goals. Yeah, basically, do you want to work with brands? If you are a travel blogger or a content creator, do you want to be invited to press trips? And as some of you have already mentioned, do you want to monetize your blog? And that's why you're here. Well, my friends, if you've responded to either of these options, then you're in the right place. Everything that we'll cover today will help you be one step closer to achieving all of those goals that you have, whether it's monetizing or whether you want more exposure. So in case some of you are unfamiliar with me, I'm just gonna quickly do an introduction about myself. I run a travel blog as well. It's called Belle Around the World. I've been running it since 2015. And yeah, as Maria has mentioned, it's coming to over 7 years now. So feel free to connect with me on Instagram, where I'm most active on, or if you decide to take a screenshot at any point during this webinar, do tag me so I can repost it and say hi. So because writing came naturally to me, I really enjoyed journaling. So I started blogging/journaling since 2006. And because I was addicted to life abroad, new discoveries and all that, this travel blog was born in 2015 when I went on my university exchange to France. You know, like a 21-year-old going to like buying a one-way ticket, flying all the way from Singapore, where I'm from, to Europe was such a huge thing for me back then. And then in 2018, through my years of experience blogging and life and digital marketing, I was able to take my blog full-time and earn an income entirely online without being in a fixed location or to a fixed employer. That's being a digital nomad for you. So yeah, as mentioned, I'm currently based in Costa Rica. If you guys happen to be in the area or want to learn more about this place, let's connect and chat. In the past 4.5 years, I've been traveling full time. This travel blog is now my gateway to experience adventures I never thought I would do when I was in my early 20s. Since embarking on this journey, I've been honored to do speaking engagements, been invited to guest speak in podcasts, as well as been featured on newspapers. I have partnered with various top travel and hospitality brands around the world, both as a content creator and a digital marketing consultant. And because of the proven strategies that I will teach today, I was invited to all expense paid trips to Sri Lanka, Helsinki, Indonesia, as well as comped food, accommodation, tour experiences in South Africa, San Francisco, Scotland, and many more. These opportunities were presented to me after establishing myself as a travel expert. So why am I telling you all these? Because I want to show you that if an average girl who started a hobby travel blog can achieve her dreams of traveling full-time and work freedom and be regarded as an expert in travel, you shouldn't be afraid to pursue your own blog or content creation too. Now, today, you'll realize that you only need to focus on one thing, and that is to get your name out there by whatever means it takes. By getting myself out there, instead of having to pitch to big name publications, I get requests from publications who want my expert quotes on certain topics in the travel industry. So this is an example of a Huffington Post editor who reached out to me, who was interested in getting an expert quote about a topic or about an article that she was writing for. And because of that, I was being featured on Huffington Post, not one, but 2 articles that she wrote. And not only that, I got a backlink from a major publication out there, which really boosted my domain authority. Beyond just getting a backlink, the benefits of getting featured are multifold. First, you get recognized as an expert in your field, whether you are writing about adventure travel or van life or traveling as a vegan, whatever it is. And then you also build your authority in your own niche and become a trusted source when it comes to, say, adventure travel. People will come to you looking for advice and trust your recommendations. And then, of course, you also get an SEO and traffic boost. On the right, this screenshot shows a mention after getting an interview piece posted on one of the largest national publications in Singapore, my traffic bumped up like 3 times. So it really contributes to a huge traffic boost and exposing yourself to a brand new audience. And well, with getting more features, you get more recognition. You also open yourself up to getting more sponsored opportunities because you've now established yourself as an expert in maybe cruise travel. And maybe then cruises will want to work with you and work together to promote their brands. If you run courses or if you are a service-based business, when you build your authority in whatever you want to be an expert in, you also naturally get more clients, more sales, more students. I have very fond memories of this feature in the magazine. On the right, it was my first international all-expense paid trip outside of Asia. And this one was to New Zealand as a recognized blogger. Like from being a hobby blogger to being recognized and being paid to create content and promote the destination. Just imagine if you can be recognized as a professional, legitimate content creator or a blogger and be paid to promote destinations. How would that feel for you? Would you be proud of yourself for all the effort that you put into your blog? It would be worth it, wouldn't it? So, okay, let's dive right into how to actually get mentions in big name publications. At the very root of it all, you want to have an interesting story to pique anybody's interest. Let's say you were just talking, you were catching up with a longtime friend and you only have 30 minutes before she has to run. You'll be sharing the most interesting, most exciting bits of your stories, of your adventures. In the same way, because big publications, they are running stories all the time. So you've got to have a really unique angle that would catch their eye. So let's brainstorm a little here now together. Do you have maybe a personal struggle? Maybe you overcame a certain adversary while you were in your travel journeys? Do you have a shocking discovery or finding? Or maybe you have an expertise that you want to educate more people about. You don't necessarily have to only circle around the niche that you are in. For example, I'll give you an example. I've managed to secure interviews with national newspapers about how ridiculously cheap I managed to travel around Europe in 6 months. An interview with my university with tips on how to travel as a student. I've even used my site as a financial case study in a high domain authority financial blog, even though I don't talk about finance at all. So really just brainstorm. The sky is the limit. If you're still feeling stuck with coming up with unique ideas, try looking at what your competitors are doing. Where are they being interviewed at? You can do a simple Google search. I recently shared this golden tip that not many people think about to my email subscribers. Look at your competitor's press page. It's kind of like reverse engineering, where you're going to all these competitor pages and seeing where they've been interviewed in, and then going to those publications that interviewed them to possibly pitch your own brand and your brand story to them. Because, I mean, since they've already published a similar story like your competitors, it's more likely that they might publish yours too. Secondly, think about sites that discuss your niche topic. For example, let's say you travel with a van, like van life, or you're traveling as a vegan. If I'm specializing in van life, my story would probably interest sites that talk about digital nomadism or minimalist lifestyle, maybe even home decor. I will then look at publications that publish stories like this. Think about how you can package and angle your story in a way that your shortlisted publications would want to interview you and hear your story. If I was traveling as a vegan, maybe like it doesn't necessarily correlate to travel, but maybe I would pitch to vegan sites that, share tips about veganism, and then I could pitch a story about traveling as a vegan. Third, maybe some of you might heard of Haro, which is Help a Reporter Out. It's an online service that helps journalists get sources for stories that they're covering. They send out daily callouts from top publication sites like Reader's Digest, Forbes, Business Insider, who are looking for expert quotes and sources about certain topics. And if you have a relevant story that fulfills their requirements, you can then reach out easily and pitch to them. In the same way as how Haro works, you can even look for journalist requests on Twitter with the following hashtags: PR request, journal request, blogger request. You can screenshot this or take a quick picture of this and then start doing your search on Twitter to see if it works. Sometimes I found it sometimes does. Also think about, where do your niches, journalists, and PR hang out at? If you're maybe doing beauty and travel or lifestyle and travel, or you're a travel entrepreneur, is there such events happening in town? Sign up and attend. Get your name out there and show it off wherever the opportunities exist. Some of the travel platforms that I'm a part of are Trav Media, Travel Massive, and of course, the Nomadic Network. These are platforms where all the travel and hospitality people hang out and discuss topics revolving around travel. Oh, I like that Dan has gotten 3 or 4 opportunities for promoting his center business. Woohoo! Yeah, so if you know of a fellow travel blogger who's recently been featured on CNBC, there's no point in also reaching out to Query and see if she can maybe share a contact. Also, don't just stop at written publications. Podcasts are becoming really trendy today. Many channels are often interviewing profiles to provide a case study. For example, the Side Hustle Project interviews entrepreneurs in each episode on how they turn their side business into six-figure businesses, which I find really inspiring, and it makes me really want to listen to each episode each time it comes out. If you have a podcast that you think might be a great fit for your site, don't hesitate to reach out. What's the worst thing that can happen apart from just getting rejected? It's generally much easier, I found, being a guest on podcasts, as a lot of their formats are interview style, so they're constantly looking for guest speakers to interview. These are just a few that I've recently been on on these podcasts. So what's stopping you? Comment your number one roadblock, and maybe we can discuss how to get around it if we have some time. Have you ever pitched? I mean, I know Santa Claus has pitched to Haro, but have you ever pitched to maybe other publications? What was your response like? What are some of the things that are stopping you if you have not like reached out to bigger publications? I know a lot of us struggle with the fear of rejection or simply not knowing where to start. Yeah, awesome. Rachel, you pitched to a magazine. Did you get featured from there? How was that process like? Yeah, so I know some of you do have some roadblocks. And so I have a few more tricks to help you sweeten the deal. That's amazing. Yeah, you've got an online blog post featured. Cool. Yeah, I love hearing some of your roadblocks. Maybe we can address some of that at the end. But first, I want you to know that getting ghosted is part and parcel of pitching. The editors, they get bombarded with hundreds of emails daily, press releases, pitches, media invites. And so one way to get around it is to send your pitch during working hours. It could be like Tuesday at 11 or maybe Thursday at 3 p.m. when they're still in the office. And so then this increases your chances of getting seen, rather than if you were to send it on Saturday and on Monday when they come to the office, they're already bombarded with hundreds of emails over the weekend. Makes sense, right? And also, following up is a part and parcel of pitching. As you can see in my screenshot below to Candice, I've sent one out on 6 May, which is already a follow-up. And then somewhat a week later or so, I would send out again. And this goes on every couple of days. Yeah, I know how it feels like to be rejected, Jennifer. And I just want to tell you that it happens. It's just part and parcel of pitching. On average, it takes around 3 to 5 times of reaching out and following up, provided you have really interesting story concepts. The highest chances I've found to get a response from an editor is by having an existing relationship with the editor. You might be wondering then, how do I even build a relationship in the first place? To do that, sometimes it's all about sharing their posts, tagging them, engaging on Twitter, anything that shows your support for them and the work that they do. One of the best ways that I've gotten inside contact is also to simply ask a member of the editorial team that I've already established a relationship if maybe they know other editors keen to pick up a story like mine. You also, I mean, this kind of is common sense, but you also want to try to make your title as compelling as possible, like saying maybe exclusive story for the specific publication name. When editors get general pitches offering too many stories, they will typically skip over them. For publications like Forbes or Entrepreneur, their audience is primarily business people looking for business information. So if you wanted to pitch to them, what story can you share with their audience that they can learn from? For example, Entrepreneur Magazine, their readers will want to hear entrepreneurial stories, right? That teach them something new. So how can you turn your story into one with an entrepreneurial standpoint? Keep it simple, concise, and just focus on one story. So there you have it. These are some of the other features using a combination of an interesting angle. In this case, on the left side, you can see that it was me pitching the story about how I flew out of Singapore in the thick of the pandemic. It's also a combination of word of mouth editorial referrals, which was how I got the feature with South China Morning Post, and also offering expert quotes to Silver Chris, Singapore Airlines in-flight magazine. I've also found that once you get a piece of feature out there, people start noticing you and getting curious, and this gets the ball rolling. You start experiencing a snowball effect where more and more people are curious and want to hear about your story, and then they want to interview you. And so this whole pitching and this whole getting mentioned in publications gets easier. So due to the brevity of time, I'm not able to cover more tips like how to craft your email pitch and things like that. And so I've compiled all my years of working with brands into one single resource, my digital PR course. On top of what we covered today, in this course, you'll get access to my outreach email templates that I personally use to establish relationships with editors and journalists and reporters. You'll learn why you should guest post and how to guest post strategically to maximize each post you write, and also get both the extra exposure and the SEO juice. And because if some of you who know me, I really advocate getting traffic as your first and foremost goal. If you want to establish your authority in the field you're in, work with brands, and get sponsored trips. And so I go into these various topics about getting backlinks and getting your posts virally shared on social media. So as I told Maria earlier, I'm doing a short trip to the beach right after this presentation to do some surf and then also work from there a little bit. When I come back from my beach escape, I'll be dropping a whole new section going in depth into where to look for PR contacts, how to utilize Facebook groups, etc. I will also reveal a hack in your competitor research to find out exactly where your competitors are all featured on and how you can emulate them. And as a thank you for your time today, for attending today, for being such great students, I'm offering all TNN attendees today 15% off the course. The discount will be automatically applied when you click on this link that I will put it on the comment box when you check out. So you'll want to act fast as this discount is only active until a week from now, until 23rd of March. And so some of my clients, they have seen marked improvements. For example, a travel blogger called Fair Dinkum Traveler, he's mentioned that he's improved his organic traffic by up to 500% since properly implementing SEO to his website. This is another one of my latest case studies of a client. I designed a customized SEO campaign for them. They are a travel tour company from Mexico, and we worked consistently for the first few months. And as you can see, like with digital PR, with pitching, with getting backlinks, it's usually pretty gloomy the first few months. But once we reach the 6-month mark, you can see how remarkable his growth is. Like we've got 6 times the impression and 3 times more traffic and leads. Carl's a spirituality coach and one of my mentees. After taking the course, he was able to see results right away. He went from 5 to 10 visits a day to 175 visits a day. And he's constantly growing. As he mentions, as long as you're willing to put in the hard work and learn, your work is going to pay off. Because when we talk about pitching to brands, it's really everything is organic. Unless you're going down the paid ads route, everything is organic. And so it really just builds up and it pays off in the long term. Another fellow travel blogger, Doreen of Mixing Cultures, she also shared that as a new blogger, she was clueless about creating travel content. She mentions that she started off with really low number of visitors, And once she started the course, she is so proud, so happy to see improvements in her Google ranking. I remember she went from position 100 or so, which is like the 10th page, to ranking position 10, which is the first page of Google. And that is remarkable progress. And so remember my freebie that I mentioned in the beginning of the session? I will send 10 people a full list of all the podcasts that I've spoken as a guest speaker at, plus all the individual host emails for you, so that you don't have to go through the trouble of researching what their emails are, where their contact pages are, for you to personally reach out to and pitch to them. The first 10 people who will take a photo of this slide and tag me on Instagram will get access to this list. And so there you have it. This is your girl, Isabel. It was really great to meet all of you today. Thanks for taking the time out. I hope you found the session about digital PR useful and you're feeling more confident to get out there and pitch. If you have any questions on starting out, or if you want to find out more about the courses that I have, you can reach me on all these various platforms. And with that, I'll be here to answer any questions you have about anything we've covered today.
Awesome, Isabel. Thank you so much. We do have a couple questions, so if you're ready, we'll just fire away. When you get featured in these articles, are you getting paid for the features, or are you just doing this in exchange for notoriety or prestige?
No, I generally don't get paid. It's kind of a win-win situation though, even though you don't get paid, because you are still getting the exposure, and for them they get the content. For you, you get the exposure, and sometimes you do get the backlink, which is really valuable, not in a short-term sense but in a long-term sense, because it exposes you to a new audience and it also boosts your SEO.
Great. What was your first publication?
I think I have one of my proudest feature was this one. I was still my blog was still less than 1 year old, I think, back then. And I've just come back from that semester abroad in France and Europe, where I did 6 months, 55 cities. And this was a newspaper feature. I've never been in a newspaper before. So like, even though this is in Mandarin and most of you wouldn't probably be able to read it, but it was still shocking to see me in a newspaper. So it was a really proud moment for me, and it showed that, by putting my content out there, by blogging, I can still get recognized for it.
Yeah, what is the topic of this article?
Yeah, so it was saying this young blogger has ran around 55 cities on a budget. So I think the gist of it was like how I managed to visit 55 cities in Europe on such a low budget as a student.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really cool feature, and honestly, it's very cute.
Yeah, it was on a newspaper.
Yeah, you look very fresh-faced.
I know, baby face.
Yeah. Is Haro a free service?
Yes, it's absolutely free. You can just sign up. You can just search on Haro on Google, and you can sign up for their alerts. Let me see, where is it again? Yeah, here. You can sign up for their alerts. I think they send out like once in the morning, once at night, and every single day. So you are bound to get 1 or 2 successful pitches if you are prompt. One tip I like to give is, the moment they send out these email pitches, if you see anything that's relevant, you want to reach out immediately, because you can imagine the number of people they're emailing it to. So it's kind of the case of the fastest fingers first.
That's a very good tip. Okay. Do you feel like you have to push outside your comfort zone in order to come up with unique ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. It sometimes helps to brainstorm with other people, because personally you might think that, yeah, I'm just going about my daily grind, there's nothing special about it. Like, I can tell you now that, traveling full-time is part and parcel of what I do. There's nothing special about it. But if you speak to someone else with a different background, with a different lifestyle, they would be so intrigued by it. And so it sometimes helps to kind of brainstorm a bit, like even just talking to friends that you've never met before. They ask you, hey, what do you do? And then you start telling them stuff, and then try and pick out on certain topics that they get really interested in and ask you more about.
Great. Do you like feature other writers on your blog for exposure
Yeah,
or
I do. So I do have guest writers who sometimes want to, yeah, get more exposure and also get a backlink. So if you are interested in writing for my travel blog, feel free to reach out.
love that? Do
Yeah.
you have any like quick tips for improving SEO?
Um, well, backlinks is important. So you definitely want to work on getting backlinks. I found that, yeah, podcasting is really easy to be on, and sometimes they publish the transcript, and so it doesn't hurt to ask them if you can include a do follow link to your blog. The other thing is, I would say to really do proper keyword research, because that is still the backbone of um, content writing. It's how Google recognizes what your content is about. So you really want to do proper keyword research and make sure that it is a keyword that's high in volume, high in search volume, but low in competition. So if you're seeing wiki travel, if you're seeing CNN or National Geographic already on the first page of Google, like if you wanted to write something like how to travel on a budget, that's probably overwritten, and it's way too competitive for you to rank. So when you do your research, maybe think about long tail keywords. Long tail keywords being keywords terms that are maybe 4 to 6 sentences long, and start from there.
4 to 6 sentences or 4 to 6 like words?
Words. So it's like, let's say you want to do how to travel on a budget, but it's way too competitive. So maybe you can narrow your topic to maybe how to travel on a budget in Los Angeles. So that's maybe six words long.
Okay. Okay, just specifying it a little bit
Yeah,
more.
sorry, slip of the
Yeah.
tongue.
No, no worries. So like when you're pitching, what do you tell them your job is? Someone gets that question a lot.
What do you tell them? They're what?
That your job is like as you're pitching.
Oh, yeah. I usually just tell them like straight up, hey, I'm a travel blogger. I have done um I was camping in the middle of in the middle of the cold at -11 degrees Celsius in Death Valley, something like that, something shocking. Would you be keen to feature a story? Yeah, go straight to the point, because yeah, they only have time to glimpse, and so you want to get straight to the point, as concise as possible. And of course, you also want to introduce yourself as maybe a travel blogger or a travel writer, to keep it personal while also being authentic.
Yeah, and how long do you feel like those emails typically should be?
Ooh, say one. Okay, so the first sentence would be like you introducing yourself. Hey, I'm a blogger at Bell Around the World. I have been traveling full time for how long? I recently saw your post. You have to show that you've done research about the reporter. I've recently saw your post about this van lifer doing whatever exceptional thing that they were posting about, and then tell them that, oh, okay, I recently also embarked on a similar, whatever your idea is. I'll be happy to share more about it. Would you be keen to feature a story? Happy to hop on a call if you like. Because I realized that a lot of big media outlets, like top tier media publications, the best way for them to interview you and see if a story is a good fit is via a call. So I mean, straight up ask them if they will be keen to hop on a call with you. Sometimes I get video calls as well as part of the interview process. So yeah, do that.
So propose the video interview first.
Yeah, so like at the end, would you be interested in running the story? Would you be interested in covering the story? I'll be happy to hop on a call to tell you more about it, or something like that.
Okay. And like, what do you think the average success rate is when you're pitching to brands?
Oh, it's it really depends on how you are packed. So there are a few factors that come into mind. You have the interesting story concept, whether your story really appeals to the audience. And then of course you want to really do your proper research and find a suitable publication. It can't just be if you wanted to write about van life, you don't want to pitch it to a beauty editor. So on top of shortlisting the right publication, you also want to shortlist the right editor to cover your story. And so I found that as long as you've target, you don't want to send it to a general email like info@readersdigest.com. You don't want to do that. As much as possible, find the contributing editor or the editor in chief, and this increases the success rate. It's hard for me to say like the average percentage of it. It can be, yeah, it can really range depending on how specific and who you are reaching out to.
Do you find that you reach out to the same people a lot now that you've had that connection previously?
Not really, because they are also quite specific with what they cover. And it also depends on the seasonality. Like if, like for example, before COVID was all the rage, and so I chose to package my travel with the pandemic, and that's why it was relevant. But if you were like, it's summer now and you're pitching a winter story, it's definitely not going to ring anybody's bell. So yeah, you have to take seasonality into account as well, and trends. If there are trends as well, you can try and hop on them and kind of find a unique twist to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how long should your travel blog be running before you start approaching pubs?
Ooh, it honestly, it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to have a ton of posts, because what you're selling to them is your story. It's not how established you are as a blogger. This would be different if I was pitching to a brand to sponsor me, or to a tourist destination to take me on a press trip. But basically, if you're talking about pitching to editors to feature your story, it's really the story that's the meat that's gonna sell them. So it doesn't matter at all whether you have an ugly blog or a picture perfect blog at all.
Great. Is the same situation with publications the same with pitching to brands? I mean, is it like
It would slightly differ. No, yeah, it would differ pretty much, because when you're pitching to a brand, you're trying to sell yourself and your credentials, which is why the whole pitching to publications would come first. And then when you've built kind of a reputation around, hey, I've been featured in CNBC, hey, I've been featured in Forbes, then, and you've also built up a traffic and audience, you've got your followers on social media, that's when you can put all of these metrics, all of these trust factors into kind of a media kit, showing like number of followers you have, the amount of traffic you get monthly, the places that you've been featured on, and it all adds to the trust factor, so that when you are pitching to your brand or a tourism board or some sort of collaboration, there is this leverage that you have that, hey, I am an expert in this industry, and people are vouching for me by this metrics, like people are actually going to my blog, clicking onto my links and purchasing things that I recommend, because they trust in my recommendations. And therefore this puts you in a good position to leverage and negotiate a brand deal or sponsor with those brands that you're pitching to.
yeah, absolutely. Somebody wanted to see your Twitter hashtags again, or
Oh
if you
yeah,
could
for
share them
sure.
in the chat.
Okay, let me
And then if
see
anybody else has any questions, with all the good stuff that we've been talking about, just go ahead and
here.
pop it in.
Okay.
I see. Okay, there they are. They're in the chat. I don't know who asked that question. All right. It seems like we are good. Is there anything else anybody is dying to know? Last chance. And of course, so in our follow-up, we are going to send the recording of this presentation because the time change did mess it up for a couple of people. And then we'll put your 15% discount on your course in that follow-up email as well. So you guys all have access to Isabel if you have anything else that you're interested in learning from her. Somebody asked, what trend do you see coming?
Wow, that's a tough one. I would say like think about the return of travel because everyone, like how the pandemic is becoming normalized. Everyone is starting to let their guard down and being able to travel again. You can think along those lines. And there's also this rise of remote working and how like people are being more and more accepted. The employers are more accepting of them working remotely. So I would say think along those lines. And also with hyper local travels, because of the pandemic, everyone started social distancing, right? So the trend is moving more towards hyper local, discovering your own backyard sort of travels, or like car camping, yeah, visiting national parks, that sort of thing.
That's great advice. Yeah, everyone's very eager to travel. So I'm sure being a digital nomad, traveling around, those are all really good topics to just be talking about right now.